Good evening and welcome to Between the Lanes, episode 97. I'm Ron.
I'm Shane.
We're here to talk slot cars. So let's get her going. Again, welcome Between the Lanes. This is episode number 97. Coming up on that 100th episode here in a couple more shows. And then a few more after that. It'll be 2 years we've been doing this. So find us on YouTube. Slot Racer is the channel. We have 97 episodes up, some special episodes, as well as some how-to videos. Find us on Facebook. Between the Lanes is the page. And as we always start every week off, the race results from last weekend, the winning reports. The Mad Fast Series was at Turn and Burn Raceway in Mocksville, North Carolina last weekend. And in the truck class, 4.5-inch truck class, Guy Spalding was the winner. Walker McNulty was second. And Big Money Carl Burrow was third. In the 4.5-inch stock car class, Walker was the winner. Guy was second. Big Money was third. It's kind of like the same podium, just kind of
shuffled
around, yeah. And then in DTM, it was Smoking Shane Parent, your winner. He's taken up the habit.
Yeah.
Walker McNulty was second. Russ Martin was third. And then in GTP, it was Smoking Shane once again in the winner's circle. Bobby Beachman is second and Walker McNulty third. So, as we talked, I think it was last week's show, yeah. Was it last? Well, maybe we talked about Turn and Burn the last 2 weeks. It's either been the last week or last 2 weeks. But on July 20th, they're going to have a big money race for AWRA rules, Legends, Womps, and then 4-inch stock cars, NASCARs with Hawk 7. I guess you could say handout motors. They're not really handout motors, but you have to buy them at the track. So
Right.
the morning
race.
So I guess that's I don't know what that is.
Yeah, they're engraving them and all that.
Okay, so it's it's 3/4 of a handout race, I guess we'll say.
Yeah. There you go.
But I mean, it's good they're going to do it that way. So, and that's going to be July 20th, and this was Shane's first visit to the track. So a little bit later in this episode, we will talk about what Shane learned while he was there racing. The UKRRA, which is the United Kingdom Retro Racing Organization, they had their championship race at Highlands in Scotland, and they ran 4 classes. And thanks to Steve Kempson, who sent these photos to me. In the Can-Am class, Murray Wallace was the winner. Steve Taylor was second, and Mike Thompson was third. And then in F1, Murray Wallace was the winner again, with Richard Wallace second. And then Steve Kempson, the guy who sent photos in, he was third. In the saloon class, Murray Wallace was your winner. Mike Thompson second. Steve Taylor in third. And then the Tottenham class, Murray Wallace pulled off the big sweep, because usually I call the 3-peat or 3 sweep.
Right.
I guess he got the quadruple, we'll call it. He got the quad sweep. That'll be our new term.
They call it the rake.
The rake. Steve Taylor was second. Mike Thompson was third, and photo bombing underneath, I think that's Mike's elbow, is Richard Wallace, Murray's father. So congratulations to Murray Wallace, our quad rake sweep winner.
Or a pitchfork. I can't remember if a pitchfork has.
So.
Yeah, I was like, does a pitchfork have 4 or is it 3? I was like, let me think here. I can't.
Yes, 3, but yeah, I'm sure.
But, yeah.
In somebody's mind somewhere, it's just evil that he won all 4 races. So
right.
I don't think it is, but hey,
Yeah.
It happens. So congratulations to Murray. He's holding, I think, I don't know if that's an envelope or it's an envelope. I hope it's full of pounds for him.
He does have the broom, though. I just realized he had the broom out.
Yes, he has the. He needs a taller broom though. Get it up closer to his head.
Because it kind of blends in with the background. So I was like, yeah. I seen it like the last minute as soon as you changed it.
Have you ever held the broom anywhere, Shane?
I've had the privilege to hold the broom at Myrtle Beach, which at one time was my home track.
Okay.
I went back to back 2 years winning everything. I also held the broom at one of Randy's old track, the Granite Quarry track.
Okay.
And then at Anderson, when we just raced on the oval, I won everything, but we didn't count that because there was only like, I don't know, maybe 6 people that showed up.
Okay.
They were all like, oh, you got to hold the broom. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I was like, nothing against y'all, but that's really not a holding of the broom situation. So,
all right. So Murray, if you need any broom holding lessons, you just message Shane on Facebook.
I'm sure you've got some too, don't you?
I've held the broom. Well, I mean,
You've held a
I've
pitchfork.
had a lot of
time, didn't
sweeps,
you?
but I've only held the broom. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times. But
Oh, it's not easy. That's for sure.
no. But I'm just saying, they don't always think about go get the broom and hold the broom.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there's never a broom just sitting there waiting for somebody.
Right.
So winner chicken dinner. That's your race report. In your broom report, I prefer like a normal sweeping broom, not the push broom. I like the.
I had the push broom in Granite Quarry. At Myrtle Beach, I don't even think we thought to grab a broom. And then Robbie Deese, he swept one year at the old slot car track location, and they actually gave him a push broom.
The little brooms you use to sweep out your car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have one in the work truck because if not, it looks like a beach after about a week getting in and out from job sites.
That would be like the official AWRA broom for the Wampum.
Yeah, for the Wampum, the smaller one.
Smaller, that's a 132nd scale broom, and then there's the 124th.
It's kind of funny.
All right, moving on.
Sunday.
All right, so this weekend we have the King Cobra Enduro at the Slot Car Track Concord. East Coast Flexi Series is in action. The Gator Retro Racing Regent is in action. I believe it's their 4-hour endurance race. I think for coupe cars this weekend. NorCal Retro is in action this weekend. And then the 29th, next weekend, Dallas Slot Cars has retro racing. And that's all I got on my calendar for the next 2 weeks. So if anything else pops up, we'll talk about it next week. But in the next week, we'll start talking about July races. And then, I don't know, I missed that. Click into that. So other than that, that's all I got for this portion. So there you have it. So what
Summertime.
Summertime. It is summertime. So what did we learn at Moxville?
Hotels, nice, close. They have a pool. It's open for the money race in July.
What is
the days? It's kind of confusing because if you pull it up on Google Maps, you come off of 40, and there's like the Days Inn, and then there's another Days Inn. The Days Inn that I stayed at is owned by Wyndham.
Yep.
And the address is 1500. I call it like Yatakin or Yankin Road.
Okay.
Yeah, you know how I am with names of things. But the address is definitely 1500. And the good thing about it is there's a gas station with a Taco Bell right next door.
So it's a Days Inn?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm almost positive. I can look into it.
But there's other hotels as well. It's not like that's the only hotel.
Yeah, that's 6 minutes from the track. Okay. And right there by that, there's a Bojangles, a gas station, a Taco Bell, a Waffle House. There's all kinds of stuff on that strip to do.
Okay.
And then 6 minutes from the track. Track has plenty of parking, has air conditioning, I would say for an up-and-coming slot car track, just kind of getting into big races and holding big events, they have a decent amount of parts, but they may not have exactly. Like I walked up and asked him for a Red Fox guide, and he was like, we don't have those. Our guys here don't run them. I was like, all right, no problem. But he's one of those people where he's like, is that something I may need to look into getting? And I was like, yeah, possibly. So he jotted some notes down. So if y'all need anything, those that are coming, shoot him a message, give him a call. He's got a Facebook page, and then he's got his personal page. So Track was fine. The I guess you could say the series director told him that he didn't really need to clean it or glue it, so it was a little, I would say, soft on glue. So we were on soft tires, but other than that, track power was good. There's a small hump on the black lane going into the bank, but that didn't really create any problems if you have your spacing right. I think there was one car in each class that launched, but other than that, that was it. And I just think maybe their spacing wasn't right as far as the front goes. They were hitting that bump and getting air and going for a ride.
Right.
He's got I guess you call it like a little kitchen area in there. So if you want tater tots or whatever, they cook there. So you don't really necessarily need to leave the track to go anywhere to eat.
Right.
Plenty of pit space. I was going to say, when you walk in the door, there's like a room off to your left that could probably hold easily 20 people, but it's all windows. So a lot of people don't pit there because the sun comes through there, so it may be kind of warm. And there's like a little foyer you can pit in, and through that foyer there's another room where another 20 guys or so can pit in. Then you kind of walk in. He's got the trioval, I guess it's trioval in the corner. A couple people can pit there, and then he has a drag strip up against the wall in the room that he has the king, but he sold the drag strip. I'm sure you could run pit tables along there. So
okay.
As far as that goes, there's plenty of room for that. And he does have air conditioning. He had issues with one of his air conditioning units, but I believe as of this past Monday, that has been taken care of because he said that he is too fat to be sweating like that. So he was like, that's the first thing he's doing Monday.
Okay.
And other than that, it's not a punch bowl king, but it definitely takes some driving.
Okay.
Other than that, I had a good time.
You faxed me, or you didn't fax me. You texted me I think the race results, and you had race lap in GTP, right?
Yes.
Do you remember what it was?
I think it was like a 384.
Okay. I mean,
that was the orange lane. Orange lane for this event obviously was ran a lot. There was a lot of rubber down. When we got there, or I say whenever I got there Friday, there wasn't hardly any glue on the track because they don't run a lot of glue.
Okay.
And I was just like, it's like, all right, well, this is what I got to deal with. I'm going to deal with it. No problem.
Right.
And I was thinking, well, guys are going to get here. They're going to run. They're going to rubber it up. And I kind of had like a little, as Paul would say, I broke out the black mamba and I just started pounding laps on red and black,
Sure.
And then between me doing that, people getting there and stuff, the track eventually kind of got some grip to it, But he said for the money race or whatnot, the track will be clean and spray glued. So I don't think there will be any worries there as far as glue or traction. He was just more or less going off of what he was told. I was like, I understand. It's no problem.
Right.
But orange was definitely hooked up. If all the lanes were like orange, you'd be hooked up.
You only had like about a dozen entries, right, for all the classes?
Yeah, I think. And I don't know what they had in the 4.5 inch classes. I didn't race the 4.5 inch cars, but I think production or DTM, there was 11, and GTP there was 12.
Okay.
So we just went round robin.
Yeah. Well, again, not a ton of guys there to run.
Yeah.
So, and probably the majority of them show up Saturday morning anyways.
I mean, I guess nothing bad. It's going to sound bad, but I didn't really think they would have that many guys just because it's summertime. And a lot of his local, like
weekend too, so
right. And you know this, but we all went to Bowman Gray afterwards, or me and Bobby did. So I think a lot of guys that race there locally actually race at the stadium.
Right.
So
yeah. Cool.
But Bryant and his wife are more than welcoming. I had them all laughing because I was walking around with a cigarette. That was kind of the highlight of the weekend. They were all laughing at me because of that.
As I posted on your Facebook page, you were trying to get your 1968 Superfun.
Oh, yeah. It was just funny because me and Bobby were pitted together, and he went to go get up. He's like, oh, there's a cigarette on the ground. And I was like, give that here. And he's like, huh? I was like, that's going to be my lucky cigarette. He's like, whatever. You know how Bobby is with me. He don't pay me no attention. And then I was like, yeah. And then we were getting ready to start racing. I was like, I'm going to see if I can race with this thing. I put it in my mouth. And they were all laughing. I had him crying at one time. He was down in the hole, turn marshal in the 90, looking away because he couldn't look at me. He was laughing so hard. And then the track owner's wife, she got to laughing at him laughing. And then we were all laughing. And then the track came on, and I'm over there, tears going down my face, trying to race because I'm laughing so hard. And I was like, I got to get myself together.
Okay, so I'm going to change subjects now. We're going to talk about a little bit about real racing. And
Okay.
I was going to do this on the show, like, I don't know, a couple months ago, and it just, something else came up that we needed to discuss.
Well, I did both, so I could talk about both.
Well, okay, so I guess my first question to you is how popular is kart, as in go-kart racing,
In that area?
no, in your area, like down around South Carolina, North Carolina?
Yeah. There hasn't been a go-kart track close to me
Okay.
in years.
Okay, so my next
I'm trying to think of if there's even, like, where's the closest go-kart track to me, and I would have to say, could be wrong, but I want to say like some of the closest go-kart tracks to me are probably all up towards Greenville and Anderson, that kind of area.
all right, so my next question is how many guys do you know that race go-karts that also race slot cars?
Nah, maybe 3 or 4,
Okay. See,
maybe 5.
it's a little different up here, okay, because like
Like in North Carolina, there's a ton of go-kart. Well, I mean, Millbridge.
right.
You
I mean,
know,
when I started racing, I knew 2 or 3 guys that I raced with that raced go-karts.
Mm-hmm.
And there was other guys that raced stock cars, and stuff like
Right.
that. They raced ARCA, they raced ASA, a couple NASCAR events, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it wasn't, but over time, and like today, on Facebook, I seen this ad and I downloaded it, but I forgot to put it in the thing. Is because like, what does go karts and slot car racing have in common? Something like that. So when I thought about this a couple months ago, and the more I thought about people that I've raced with up here and still race with, it's just amazing how many of these guys race go karts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I mean, I just throw some names out. I mean, like Bob Kurkowski. He doesn't race so much anymore, but he was pretty hot and heavy for a while. Frankie Schaefer, he raced go-karts. Frank Ulbrich Sr., Frank Ulbrich's dad,
Right.
he was a national go-kart champion back in the 60s. Rob Voska, Paul Martin. Like Paul Martin, they just inducted him into the Go-Kart Hall of Fame last weekend because they had a big vintage go-kart thing down at Newcastle, about a half hour or so for me. I was supposed to go. I was going to go last Friday, and other things came up, which I had to stay and get stuff done before I could leave to go to the next thing we'll talk about. So, like Cap Henry and Joe Ligori. My boss, Ron Knight, was a national go-kart champion. Steve Pepler, Eric Shiree, Rob Lehman, of course, Uncle Bob Dempsey.
Yeah, I was going to say Uncle Bob, yeah.
National champion back in the 60s. Terry Watson raced go-karts, and Randy Marshall raced go-karts. They both worked at Comet Kart Sales, which is like one of the biggest go-kart, like hot rod shops, if you will.
Right.
That's where you go to get the go-fast stuff. So, Mike Nevada, Walt Hessler, I just made a short little list here today of like.
That's like me. If it wasn't for slot cars, I did the go-kart thing, got hurt, and it's like, all right. And we did the RC car thing for a little while, and it's like, well, if we're going to race RC cars, we might as well go back racing go-karts because it is about the same.
Right.
Or money spent.
Yeah, like go-kart racing is just so big in Ohio. It always has been for years. I mean, there's a lot of go-kart tracks. Always has been. They've had a lot of national events there, WK,
right?
Years. So I mean, it was a hotbed of go-karts for years. But it's just when I think about it, there's like I know more slot car racers that have raced go-karts.
Right.
It's just I don't know what that tie-in is there. But.
Yeah, because whenever our track here was open, we had a local go-kart track. It was Horseshoe Speedway or Horseshoe Go-Kart Track or whatever. Right. There was about 3 or 4 guys. They raced go-karts and also raced slot cars.
Right.
But that was in the early 90s. And like anything else down here that had to do with racing. There's a housing subdivision on it now.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like, and I don't know if you've raced with me, but I mean, like in the past, like, Bobby Labonte and Ernie Irvin, just a couple of guys that come to mind that kind of raced slot cars a little bit hot and heavy for a while. I mean, they weren't like
Yeah.
the track and ran some cars a couple hours and never came back.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure there's others out there, but I mean, you would have seen more NASCAR types. Like I remember Cale Gale used to race for a while. He used to get motors and stuff from me. I think he works at Childress's.
Well, there's a guy now that races at Randy's. I had his name and I know there was a guy, Race Labonte or something. I think he races go-karts, and he races at Randy's. And then there's Zach.
Right.
I think he races go-karts, and he also races slot cars there.
And see, I don't know if Ralph Thorne raced go-karts. I know that he ran
he had his BMW on like a touring series. Yeah.
Yeah, he ran like the BMW. I was going to say like something similar to SCCA, but not SCC.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember him. He may have. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I know that he raced for a short time, his BMW.
Yeah. Well, I know Walker, I think he raced go-karts for a little while. Okay. Because they had like a track that they built on their property.
He's out building a track when he's out back when he's 5 or 6 years old or something.
Yeah. So
that's about as far as that story went that day. So yeah, I mean, I just like I said, I see the go-kart stuff, and then I always think about I was going to talk about this, and
I want to say they had a big go-kart race. I think it's coming up this weekend at Charlotte, the dirt track.
Okay.
Me and George were talking about it and stuff because I think they're actually running on the big track.
Right.
And I was like, that's kind of big for go-karts, but okay, everything we always raced on was kind of smaller.
So I didn't get to go down to Newcastle, but because I went to RH Distributing for 3 days on a treasure hunt.
Yeah, I went picking American pickers.
Yeah, American pickers and slot car pickers. Hey. So, I don't know how many of our viewers know this, but REH, which was owned by Bob Haynes, and now his daughter Kim has pretty much run things since Bob passed away a few months ago. Years ago, Bob bought the Lance. He bought all the molds to make all the old Lancer bodies. He didn't buy the Lancer company per se, I don't think, but he got the rights to use Lancer and got all the molds. And, the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 times I went down there in the last year and a half, always seems like I always find something that was missing, or, you just go through boxes and you start finding stuff. There's like no rhyme or reason why this box is over here when it should be over here with the rest of them.
Right.
So anyway, took some molds back and brought a few other ones home. But while I was in the mold room, I went to move some boxes that I previously went through on another visit. But on top of these boxes was a white box, and I'm like, it's not. I don't remember that box being there, and I don't remember it not being there before. But like, there was this like little smaller box on top of these other boxes I went through before, and I'm like, well, what's in that box?
Right.
I opened it up, and there was 3 of the Lancer logo molds that they used. They would pull Lexan over these, or maybe butyrate, and then they would paint them, and then they used them on the display boards that they gave to raceways that had some of the 124th bodies, some of the 32nd, some of the HO bodies. So that was kind of a unique, rare find, was finding those, and there was 3 of them there. And as with all Lancer stuff, there's always a duplicate. We even found more duplicates of stuff that I thought they only had 1 of. But there was 3 or 4 other styles of duplicates that we found on this visit. So, also I was there, of course, back in December I won the proxy race or not
right.
Proxy race, but the Shinoda reunion race.
Right.
And there was some controversy about the motor I used, which was a Mira B can. And the controversy, well, in that race, it had to be motors that were built in 1968 or earlier. PDL Felipe, who, is kind of a historian of sorts, not always accurate, not always wrong. He had posted on a lot of blog sites and websites that the Mira B-Can came out in 1968. And I could recall looking back at old magazines, and my thought was the same, that the Mira B-Can came out late in 1968. So, I built some B-Cans, and of course, after the race was over, guys that weren't there, the keyboard warriors, started whining and complaining about, that's not a correct motor and all this stuff. So of course, social media went back and forth, and then Felipe came into the discussion and said, no, the B-Can came out in 1969. And I was like, well, they need to go back and correct everything you've put online about the dates, and he went to a couple of places and he made a retraction of sorts. And the problem with, like, when did something come out in the 60s? Unless you were there, you definitely have proof of it, manufacturer's catalog or something like that, when it actually came out and was released. Are you the magazines? But you gotta remember, magazines were usually 3 months behind. Like, if you came out with something in January, it wasn't probably going to be until the April issue that it would be in. So,
Right.
so those are hard to actually use and pinpoint. You can get a time frame,
Right.
time, but you can't pinpoint exactly when it came out. So, a former employee of REH that worked there back then, he told me that it was what he could remember, and his feeling was that they had got Mira B-Cans like in November of '68, like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because they had some for the Christmas season. And okay, fine. So, and then I had people tell me, well, it's not the 1968 catalog. Well, okay, fine. But the problem with, and we'll go more depth into this in the next in an episode in the next week or two, because I need some time. But I mean, in 1968, there was 5 different Mira catalogs. Okay, like you start like 1968, and then 1968 revised, and then you go to like May of 1968, and then you go to 68 and 69 catalog, and then you go to a 69 catalog order sheet. So, when was the Mira B-Can released? Stay tuned in a future episode for that, because I'm trying to see if Kim can find the paid 1968 invoices, because then we'll definitely know the date the B-Cans were shipped and paid for and all that stuff. So if it happened, yeah. So I don't have that yet, but we're working on it, because nothing gets thrown away there. So.
But REH, yeah, I remember you were telling me, you're like, there's just, what'd you say, it was a grocery store?
It was an old grocery store, yeah.
And then they have Connexes, or you called them sea containers outside.
Oh, yeah, you have 15 sea containers. We had to go through each and every one of them looking for stuff. It was quite the adventure.
It'd be a field day for me. It's like going through an old museum.
The thing, okay, so, yeah, it is. And some parts of it is like going through a museum, and then there's parts of it that there's tons of stuff there that if the world knew they had it, it wouldn't be sitting there very long. And I'm not talking old stuff. I'm talking like there's tons of 30-second. I mean, if you want HO and 30-second scale stuff from back in the day till today, yeah, that's the place to go, because they got it. I mean, they got everything in between.
Right.
We found some stuff that probably wasn't where it should be, but it was like, hey, here's a whole container full of, I think they were Tyco 440 wheels or something. They were aluminum wheels that had the walls on both sides of the wheel.
Yeah, I was saying,
Because
you
Roger
got
was
me.
like, "Hey, you've been out these for like 6 months, you know.
Right.
Here they are." So they were being packaged as of yesterday. So yeah,
Back
and
on the
Roger
market.
and I went with Roger. And Roger's really good about that stuff. So
Right.
like, here's stuff you can package and sell, and here's stuff you need to tell people you have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's pretty good at that because of his eBay store too, I'm sure.
Right.
You know.
And he's really good. He's really smart about that old stuff too. So
Yeah, there's certain things. I think there was one night at dinner, me and you got to talk, and it was kind of surprised that I remembered as much.
right.
I think me and you were just going back and forth, and all the guys at the dinner table were just kind of looking at us like, wow. I'm like, yeah, I've been around for a while. Just some
Right.
things I forgot and some things I remember, and we just hit on something I remember.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot of a lot of stuff out there. I hope to put to rest here in the next few episodes. So Mira's had. I mean, these Mira catalogs have got some stuff listed I had never heard of. People, and I've never seen people talk about some of this stuff.
That
Like
used to be the funnest thing I would do when the slot car track was here. You
yeah,
had that big, thick ring binder.
yeah,
I
right.
would ask the track owner, hey, can I just look through that? And he's like, yeah, here. And
Sure.
you just, I mean, you 30 minutes, 45 minutes just going through all the different stuff.
Well, and we actually had a talk about that. Like, I think it was Roger said, what's missing in the industry, besides a magazine, is catalogs.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Next, I have no idea how they do it now because it's just, I know what I need. And I just
well,
kind of say, or it's
well,
online. I just look online.
everything gets put online. So
Right.
it's not that I think manufacturers are trying to save money by not producing catalogs.
Right.
It's just so much easier to put it online and it's there.
Yeah.
You can update it instantly. Like if prices have to go up tomorrow, you
Right.
go online and change your prices. It's like
Right.
people are looking at your catalog from 3 months ago and they're like, "Well, you're charging me the wrong price for this." Well, we had a price increase,
Right.
something. Or if new product comes out, boom, because it kind of goes hand in hand with the old trade shows. Like, because I asked Kim, I said, "Well, how many trade shows do you go to a year?" And she goes, "I only go to two." And like they probably used to go to 5 or 6 at least per year.
Right.
10, 15, 20 years ago. To get that exposure and get information out there and stuff. But again, it used to be you had to go to what they called the Richter show in October to find out what was coming out because lots of new releases for the upcoming season
Right.
came out at the Richter show. So if you went to the show, you knew firsthand this stuff's coming out, and you can order it right there at the show.
Right.
And you'll be one
Get
of
on a list
you
or
know,
a
you'll be
back
one of
order
the
list
first
or
ones to
whatnot.
get it right. Well, now the manufacturers, they come out with something. They don't hold it. I mean, like when I was at Parma, we would develop stuff through the summer
Right.
and then not release it till whenever the date of the show was in October. So, some stuff, not tons of stuff, but some you might have a mold done for an RC body or even a slot car.
Right.
2 months, just sitting there for 2 months before you tell the world about it. It just got to the point where when someone gets something new done, they just instantly say, they go online and say,
Yeah.
"There it is."
Yeah.
And they start selling them. So there's no secret releases,
Yeah.
say, by going to the show. So therefore, the shows now lack in attendance, both consumer and trade.
Because everything's went, I guess,
Pretty
web or
much
cyber or however they say it.
yes, cyber, whatever, yeah. The World Wide Web, if you will. I mean, because you'd have buyers in foreign countries that had to come to the show.
I remember too, like in
Find
Slot
out
Car
what was
Bulletin,
new.
they had a section of new releases and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. The magazine always had what's new.
Yeah.
But the magazines, again, you're talking they're 1 to maybe
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 months behind what's new. So because now everybody finds out. See, it used to be too when a manufacturer just notified the distributors, like, here, we've got this new product. So it was up to the distributors to then turn around and let the tracks know.
Right.
Well, now,
I remember they used to send like flyers and stuff like that out
sure.
too.
Right. So yeah, I mean, if the manufacturer compiled a mailing list, a smart manufacturer would mail their catalogs and stuff direct to the raceways, as well as send them to the distributors. So the way it used to be is you would tell the distributor, and then hopefully the distributor would start telling people right away about it.
Right.
But some distributors didn't want to tell anybody about something new until they got rid of whatever it was replacing off their shelves.
Right. Yeah. So they didn't have dead stock. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, and like the comment was made yesterday, well, the consumer and the shop owner and the distributor all know on the same day at the same time when there's something new nowadays.
I mean, especially now, God, if you post something on Facebook,
right,
a matter of minutes, depending on what the topic is and what it is, it'll have 30 or 40 posts.
Sure. Yep. So that's just it's the way business has changed. So, and there's really nothing you can do about it. It's just the way.
That's the other thing too with Facebook. It's free advertisement.
Right.
Well,
I've had this discussion too. I mean, let's go back to like say 1990, 90 through, I don't know, probably 90 through almost 2000.
Mm-hmm.
The internet was there, but not a lot of people used it. But as we went through the 90s, more and more people used it. So we'll say 2000 and before that time.
Right.
If you were a manufacturer and you made something, I don't care if you made one product or you made 50 products. The only way you would get the word, the only way the word would get out to the masses about your product was if you paid for an ad in a magazine.
Right.
Okay, so you were going to spend a minimum of a couple $100.
Right.
To put an ad in the magazine to advertise what you had.
Because I think what a page back then in Slot Car Bulletin was like $125 for a whole page.
That was more than that.
Was it?
Full page, I'm thinking, and it varied over time, but I think a full page got up to almost $250, between $250 and $400.
Because I know he had in the book like a little small section that says,
yes,
ad space and had it broke down.
Well, and not that there were favors, but if a manufacturer ran 2 pages or multiple ads, he might get a little break. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I mean, I think at one time I was up to like 3 to 5 pages, full pages of advertising in the magazine.
Right.
At one time. So, but even if you bought a little tiny, eighth.
Yeah, square. Yeah.
That was easily $200. So you had to spend $200 to promote your product before you even ship the product.
Right.
So nowadays, anybody can come out with something and boom, put it on Facebook or put it on a blog, and the world knows about it and they start buying it. So
we see it all the time.
Right. We see it every day.
Yeah.
Almost. I mean, to be honest.
It's been kind of quiet lately, but yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just times have changed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Times have changed. And either you adapt or you roll with it or you get left behind. So
it's easier because, I mean, you just pull it up on the phone,
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of one of REH's biggest problem is they have tons of stuff there that nobody knows about.
Right. It's never been inventoried or.
So I'm always telling Kim, like, you know what? You need to send an email out to all your dealers and let them know you have this.
Right.
Or go put it on your Facebook page and then let the general public see it, and then they'll.
Yeah, you start a Facebook page and say, all right, yeah, this is what I'm going to go through this area and post it,
Right. But you gotta make sure you either have the time and or the manpower to monitor that stuff.
Right.
Because some days if you put something new up, you're going to spend most of your day answering questions.
Right.
People private messaging you.
Yeah, you have one day of questions and then one day of packaging and shipping.
Right. So yeah, it's kind
I
of
mean, that's just like at the Nats when we were at Rogers for the Nats, and I was there for a week. You were there for a week, and it was funny in a good way, but it's just like every day you'd see the mailman come into his table and there was boxes stacked up. It's just like
right.
all that eBay stuff. He's like every day.
Well,
I'm just like,
eBay,
geez,
online, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah, I
right.
was just like, good lord,
Yep.
you know. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, anyone can do this.
Right.
It's a matter of doing it.
Yep.
I mean, I got hot and heavy one point getting rid of some of my old racing stuff on eBay, and it's like if I focused on it and paid attention to it and kept it fresh,
Right.
I mean, I was paying for my racing.
Right.
What year was it? The 2016 Division One Nats in Atlanta or Peachtree City. Everything I raced and my travels and gas and food, all that was paid for money I made off of eBay.
Right.
And all it was doing an eBay ad, sharing it on Facebook, people buying it.
Right.
I put it in a different little savings, and then come race time, it's like, all right, I need this, this, and this. These are the tires I need. This is the hotel. I'm gonna probably need this for food. Done.
All right. So I'm gonna ask a question of the listeners, the viewers, and maybe they can answer this question. I hope they can.
This is going to be, as Randy McNulty would say, a $5 challenge.
It's going to be a free challenge.
Free
So
challenge.
what this is so in the 1970 Mira catalog, and this is something that, I don't claim to know everything about slot car racing, and I never will, but, there's some things that, it's like, I know a lot about, maybe I know more than I should, but, and the reason maybe I don't know about this is because maybe it never got released. Just because it's in a catalog doesn't mean it gets released. So in the 1970 Mira catalog, it was not in the 1969, and I didn't get any copies of like 71 or 72.
Right.
Because I pretty much know what was going on at Mira at that time. But there was a lot going on at Mira from 1968 to 1970. I mean, a lot. And Mira came out with a Group 40 motor. Okay.
I remember Group 20.
Well, there was Group 12 and 15 and 20 and 27 was, any Group 22 was in there. And we'll talk about that on a future show, what the differences were. That was all popular stuff.
Right.
Cayman had a Group 35 arm in the 80s, maybe into the 90s. And that was like, what that was a short stack machine wound Group 27 arm. It was 350 stack, and it was machine wound versus hand wound, and it was 38 turns to 27. And it never really took off. So anyway, but Mira had a Group 40 arm, or in their catalog, Group 40 arm and motor. It was in a B can in 1970. I've never heard anyone discuss a Mira Group 40.
Yeah, I've never
talk about a Group 40. I've never seen a picture of one.
Right.
And I guess I may have to get a hold of my good old buddy Bob Green that used to work at Mira, and he worked at Mira, started Mira in 1970 or 70-ish, and ask him. But if any of our viewers know what a Mira Group 20 arm or Group 40,
yeah,
send me a message. I want to know what it was. And again, it may have never been released. That's why we don't know anything about it. So
it's kind of like going to a restaurant saying, or
well, that could be
this. Oh, that's not. We don't have that.
Well, that could be one of them holy grails of slot car racing. Like
you could find it. You could be sitting on a fortune.
Right. Well, no, not so much that, but it's
right. But it's a rare item.
I mean, it's like Buzzy has the only one existing Emperor American tracks. That's like a holy grail,
Right.
I don't know if that's a holy grail of slot car racing, but it's the holy grail of American tracks.
Yeah.
So I would think, if someone had a Group 40 Mira arm or motor, that would be like, to me, that'd be a holy grail because I've never seen them, never heard of them.
I,
Never heard anyone talk about them.
yeah, because like
I'm
whenever I
betting,
was
I'm
growing up,
betting, I'm betting it was never released, but not out there.
time will tell.
Time will tell. And I didn't do a Google search on it. Again, I just don't recall anybody ever talking about
Right.
it.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember the Mirror Group 20s because when
Oh
I
yeah.
first got into slot car racing, I wanted to go fast. I bought a Zap wire chassis and had a Mirror Group 20 motor,
And
and that
see,
was my little wing car.
there were Mira Group 20s, and there was Mira New Breed 20s,
Right.
and we can talk about that. And I'll even up the ante. If anybody else wants to ask any Mira questions,
Right.
just send us a message, and
I mean, I was showing Mirror.
we'll try and we'll try and get the answers.
That's just like what was it the other day when me and you were talking on the phone? I was telling you about a guy here locally that I thought he either raced for was it Dana Rewind,
Diner Rewind, yeah.
yeah, or Mirror. And all I can remember is his first name was Andy. I can't remember his last name, but I know he said he raced on the team.
Well, did he live in the South back when he was on the team, or did he live somewhere else?
I want to say he came from California.
Okay. Well, see, there
I'm not
was
100% sure because, like, whenever I was a kid and he was in his 70s or 80s,
okay.
you know, and I mean, he told stories and had like newspaper articles and stuff like that.
Right.
And for the life of me, I can't remember his last name. I know I could picture his face. I remember, was it two or maybe three of his fingers on one of his hands were cut off. I remember he was nice, but he was kind of like, he also had the old man grouchiness to him from time to
Sure.
time
Sure.
and stuff. And then he had like a whole bunch of old stuff, that he would bring to the track sometimes, and it was just neat to look at.
Well, see, Arnold Atkins is a guy who I believe he's still alive.
Hmm.
Last time I seen him was in the '90s, but he actually worked at Mira and was a Mira team racer in the late
Right.
'60s. And a guy like Arnold would probably know him
Right.
because he was in the factory every day.
Right.
If that guy was racing for Mira at the time, that
Right.
guy he worked,
And I mean, for all I know, it could have
he
just
probably dealt with
been,
Arnold, or Arnold
yeah,
dealt with him.
him. It could have just been him talking. But like I said,
Right.
he had newspaper articles. I remember he brought in like a wood box and was like, "Yeah, this was my team box that I used to take with me," and stuff like that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Like I said,
and the whole history, like the history of slot racing motors. I mean that could be 3 or 4 episodes because there's
yeah, so many different.
where it started, where it went to. I mean, Mira really got into the game, or they started changing the game really late in the game,
Right.
which gave them problems and led to problems there. But it all kind of worked out in the end. But and then you had Champion, which that was Mira's competitor,
Right.
and between the two, there was just a lot of
Yeah, I remember running
development
Champion
stuff
motors.
coming out. I mean, stuff was changing on a fairly regular. I mean, there was probably again, I'll do the research, but there was at least 9 different versions of like the Mira B can itself, just the can.
Right.
A couple different versions of in bells and hardware. 2 or 3 different magnets. Um, just things because the motor wasn't reliable. They ran hot. They burn up
Right.
easy. They kept trying to change stuff to make them live longer and run better. I think some things helped, some things didn't, but they overlooked a major thing when it came to that motor. That's what caused the problem. So we'll discuss that on a future show too. So I think the secret word this week will be Group 40.
Group 40.
Group 40.
I was thinking B can. It's funny because I was just thinking about that whenever you were talking. I was like, all right, let's think of a well.
Group 40 is the word. Like I said, if anybody knows anything about a Mira Group 40 armor motor, I want to hear about it.
And if you have one for sale and you have proof,
I'd just like to see pictures of one too.
you're willing to give one of your kidneys.
Maybe 2.
Gotta keep at least one.
Oh, come on. I can plug into a machine here.
Oh, carry along.
Put the
Go
vacuum
for Ron. He's coming with his machine.
air pump on the other side. Keep it all clean. All right, so that's all I got for this week. You got anything else you want to say before we go?
Check out the Turn and Burn Facebook page.
Oh, yeah. Turn and Burn Facebook page for details on
Yeah.
coming right.
Yeah, because he's got some stuff coming up as far as the money race and whatnot. And
Yep.
if you've never been and you're thinking about going, I think it's well worth the trip. It's a nice area. I mean, it's out in the country. And then, too, if we're lucky enough to get finished soon enough, we can all go to
Mayberry? Mayberry?
Sure.
Because I don't think they're far from Mayberry.
Yeah, no, I thought you were being funny. I didn't know Mayberry was close to there.
Well, Mount Airy, that's like the Mount.
Yeah,
I think they're probably 30 minutes away from Mount Airy.
I know they're 25 minutes from Bowman Gray Stadium.
There you go. Yeehaw!
You should have put that video up on this.
Yeah, I probably should.
Highlight. Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah, you go there to the fights and a race breaks out.
Yep. Oh, it was full moon and yeah,
It was good. It was. That boy,
$12. That's all it is. $12.
That boy took a good walk when he landed on his back, but man, he bounced right up and was ready to go. I mean,
yeah, I think that took the life out of him right there when that happened.
But his woman had his back.
Well, the funny part was the video that I shared on my. So if anyone don't know what I'm talking about, just go to my Facebook page.
Or you can go on YouTube and
they got it up on YouTube now.
Well, I'm sure it is. I didn't go.
Like after it happened, I waited like 30 minutes, and I was telling Bobby and all them, I was like, it's got to be on YouTube now.
It has to be. Everything that happens at is on YouTube.
But it's $12. I mean, we had one guy dumped another guy, and of course, it's a bull ring, so he was waiting on him on the back stretch, and the dude stopped, so he threw it in reverse and just backed up over the hood of his car. And I was like, I guess that's one way to get him back if you don't want to come up there and talk to you.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been there a handful of times, and I have yet not been satisfied. Every time I go, I have a good time.
So did you see the picture of I don't even know the guy. I don't even know the guy. Never heard of him. But I guess his throttle hung wide open at South Bend Speedway Saturday night.
I haven't seen that.
Kind of walked away. Oh, this car's destroyed. I've
seen pictures of it happening to people, but I haven't.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. But, yeah, this car's destroyed. But I guess he walked away with a concussion and some bruised or maybe a broken rib or something. But, wow, you look at the car and you're just like – the left front is like up over into the roll cage.
Yeah.
So –
that's how you break legs and stuff like that. Transmission comes up through the bottom and tags you right in the leg.
Yep.
Not fun.
Yep. Yeah, you need a roll cage around the transmission just to keep it from getting up in there. In the drive shaft. But that's a whole nother story. All right. Till next week. Everybody have a good weekend. If you're going racing, good luck and be safe. Secret word is Group 40. I'm out.
Good night.
Night.